Well, hello, people. D-Roy Cruz, your Life Applications Officer. Um, just a quick video. I was thinking about some things today. And just got done eating my lunch. Yeah. 12:26 here in Pittsburgh. March the 8th. Just in case YouTube don't let you know that. Just got done eating my lunch. I've been feeling a lot better since I've been skipping breakfast. Let me prop this just a little bit. It seems to be, let me see if I can stick something in there to prop that a little bit. It seems like, alright, that might help. Maybe a little bit. Seems like camera's lopsided. Anyway, one of the things that's bugging me, I had a dream not too long ago, probably a couple years. I know when the Lord gives me dreams, because when the Lord gives you dreams, you don't forget them. And even as you get older and older and older and start to lose your memory, you get flashbacks of that dream. And you know the basics of it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, you never forget how to swim. You just forget how to swim the way you used to swim, okay? But you know how to basically swim because you've done it before. You spend a little bit of time doing it, and I'll never forget the dreams. Two of the dreams that I really feel that have to do with this modern day time. The one dream, one was on Islam, and I told you a little bit about that dream. The other one was on these so-called, what people think that we're going to eventually, everybody's under some assumption that there's going to be a FEMA camp day, FEMA, whichever one it is. And I believe the Lord showed me what that is. I don't think it's going to be what you think it is. Now, when I tell dreams, I don't tell you the entire dream and every little detail of the dream. I just tell you what the message is I got from the dream. Okay? The message that I got is this. Because of the violence that comes from diversity, because of the upset and the lack of rest, of peaceful rest, that comes from these people who come into this country, as well as the black folks that are already here. And I'm not talking about Christian black folks like myself. I'm talking about the people, the liberals, the people who don't care. The people who feel that this country should be whatever they want to make it for them, and they don't care about anybody else but their own little group. I'm not talking about people like myself. I'm black. Okay, so when I say black people, understand that I'm talking about a certain group of black people. Okay? I hate when black people get mad at black people talking about black people. Well, if white people ain't got a right to talk about black people, then who has a right to talk about black people? Do I have a right to talk about black people? I'm black. I'll say whatever I want to say about your black behind, because I'm black, and I'm sick and tired of a lot of the nonsense that goes on. And since I've moved here to Pittsburgh, Now, I haven't lived in Pittsburgh for years. Okay. But coming back here after, me thinking I was getting away from some nonsense years ago. I mean, 20, 30 years ago. Whatever time I left and graduated from high school and set out on my own. And not only that, as I said in many other videos, the fact that I knew some good white people that cared about me. They wasn't trying to watch me leave one ghetto and move into another. And then there's white friends of mine I had to correct. I said, hey man, you what? I left this one part of Pittsburgh. You think I want to move up here to Westmoreland County and move into another ghetto? Come on, man, But they respected that I care about myself where they, as a white person, might not be able to care about me. I care about myself. But they cared enough to understand that, he's right. Like, don't nobody want to live in a ghetto who works for a living and has to pay his taxes and his bills, and you know what I'm saying. You got to go to work every day and submit to these whites, these Asians, these blacks, whatever they be. You have to submit to these people. You have to bow to their leadership and their authority. You don't want to do that and then come home to a ghetto. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, man. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to be like white people, but come on, man. Let me have my nice neighborhood. I ain't bothering nobody. I'm not causing anybody any trouble. I ain't even swagging. It doesn't even hurt you to look at me, because when you see me, I'm dressed casual. This is the way you see me right now. This is the way I might be running to the store across the street. And I might have some sweats on, some jeans. No swag. Ain't sagging. Ain't trying to look like a thug. I just want to be an American in the basic sense of the word. And I understand if black folks be honest, come on, let's get real, we lost it. Whether it was taken from us by whoever, or whether we lost it because of our own behaviors and habits, we lost it, and there's no way to get it back. The only way that you can move on is to actually move on. And let that anger go. Let it go. Okay? Let it go. That is the only way that you can move on, is by letting that anger go. Okay? That's better. Go back a little bit. You're not supposed to be showing the paper. There we go. I guess that's better. I still ain't happy, but anyway. Black folks, we gotta catch up, step up, and keep up. Catch up, step up, and keep up. But I was thinking today, real quickly, about, on the flip side of that, why do certain things exist in this country? For example, why does the KKK even exist? Why? Why, you say, you got me convinced that I need to tell my people, black people, to catch up, to step up and keep up. And I'm convinced they need to. But then again, the KKK's been here for how long? They didn't just start in the 90s. Neither did they just start in the 80s. They've been here forever. They were here ever since the day that black folks got their freedom. When black folks retained the right, when black folks were given the right to vote, and the right to have jobs and go to school and do things side by side with white folks, that's when these groups like the KKK begin to exist. That's when they begin to form. Okay? Now, you got people tearing down statues because they say that these statues represent hate, or they represent racism, or whatever. The statues are what they are. Okay? And that goes both ways. I believe Africa needs to tear down some of the places where they claim that they were first enslaved and tortured and brought here to America. They got a monument for slavery over in Africa. A monument where you can walk through and they tell you what black folks went through in the process of slavery at that time and when it began. And to me, you need to burn that place down. Or get rid of, or turn it into a school. Turn it into a school. And then you can have maybe one little wall on the basement floor that says, never again will we ever be taken as slaves. Okay? Have some monument down there in the basement where it's not out there in the super open public. I can understand that. Okay? But to have a whole building dedicated as a museum of slavery is dumb. Excuse me, Africans. I don't mean to offend you, but that's dumb and stupid. These statues, however, that are here in the U.S., okay, when I was a kid, I walked past some of these statues, or I read about them in my books in school. And these guys, yes, they were slave traders, some of them, but a lot of them were the forefathers of this country. And even though they may have participated in slavery because that was the politics of the day, of that time, they also invested in the rich soil, the goodness of this country, and done great things for this country. So between that monument that used to be a school, that they decided to turn it into a museum for slavery, and some statue down in the South or in the Midwest or wherever, here in America, I say burn down the school, leave the statue up. Or either get rid of the museum and put a school in there. Educate these African people. That's what you need to do. You need to educate them. No, you don't need to waste that much good brick and mortar and plaster and paint and asphalt and all that to remind people that they better be careful about white people. Okay? And then and what's so dumb about it? Who comes to see this museum? White folks. I watched a video where they went in there and all these white folks was coming in there taking pictures. And They're in there taking pictures, and these people are in there. I mean, I don't know what they was doing, speaking in tongues or whatever they was doing, but they was chanting and starting to cry. I says, man, you better look out. What's coming up next? A meat cleaver upside your white head. You're going to come all the way to that country and watch these people mourn over slavery in the basement, secluded from the rest of the population in their country. You dumb enough to go in there like that, taking pictures while they in there mourning and crying and speaking in tongues or whatever they was doing. You better, you know, I'm glad I'm not white. Okay. I'm glad I'm not white. I think if I was white, I would probably be a white nationalist just to protect myself. I would probably have me a little white gang, and say, hey, if anything ever happens to me, you know who did it, you know how to handle it, you know what to do. You know what I mean? I'm glad I ain't white. The main reason why is because black folks, as this country allows them to move around and breaks barriers for them, we need to stop racism. We don't need to shut down barriers. And as for profiling, okay, if you tell a white person you can't get the job unless you meet these requirements, unless you meet these qualifications, what do you tell a black person who probably more of his skin color don't meet the qualifications? What are you going to tell him? You're going to let him in just because he's black, and then you expect the white people on that job not to look down their nose at him. You expect the white people on that job to not feel a certain way about him when he got in based on the color of his skin, not based on the fact of his qualifications. And I've worked enough industrial jobs to know there's a fine line between a black man who has qualifications and knows how to do a good job, and he's a hard worker, and he knows how to do what he does, and he's good at it, he takes pride in it. There's a fine line between that and a black person who, oh, I'm on the job, these white folks better respect me, you know what I'm saying? I ain't putting up, And he goes on there and they got to teach him every little thing because he don't know squat. And then when you teach him, and I've been to jobs where white folks automatically come up here with this hatred. They tell you, I'm only going to tell you once. Why? How to get like that? Because they know, or they assume that I'm there based on the color of my skin. They're looking around. Oh, the majority of us are white. He must have got here on affirmative action. So, look, brother, I'm only going to tell you once. I'm not going to keep repeating myself. First day on the job, they start doing that, Hey, I'm only going to tell you once. Don't make me have to repeat it. I've been to jobs where people had to repeat stuff. I was out the door. And, and let's be honest. If I was white, they wouldn't have mind repeating themselves. But because I was black, and they're angry at affirmative action and things of that nature, they were only going to tell me once. And I wasn't out the door. I knew how to carry myself compared to a lot of other blacks. I knew how to carry myself. So, I went in the office. I told the boss, I says, look, I don't know nothing about this job. I was under the assumption that we get trained here. I was told when I applied for this job, your secretary told me that I get 2 weeks training. Now your buddy out there that you sent to train me, he's only been training me for 2 days, and now he's mad because he has to repeat himself. And I didn't ask him to repeat himself. I asked him to come over here and make sure I'm doing this right. What you need to dismantle is not statues. What you need to dismantle is this idea that this is the white man's country. That this will never ever be a melting pot. This will never ever be a country of many races and colors. All you other colors are minorities, and you will always be minorities. And you other colors, you will all be inferior to us. That's what white nationalism is about. Okay? You, the same people that are in them statues, which I don't have a problem with, but the same people in them statues, they made this a melting pot when they decided that they wanted to take slaves of another nation. You did this to yourself. We would have never been here to become diverse. We would have never been here to become a melting pot if you hadn't dragged us over here. How many white people don't understand that? Now, I appreciate the fact, and I've said this in other videos, and I've said this to a lot of black people, and it pisses them off. I thank God that my ancestors went through slavery to a certain extent, because they paved the way for me to be here. I tell people all the time, I've been saved twice. I've been saved from the poverty and the futility of Africa. Okay? And I've been blessed by my ancestors. Okay? That they suffered, just like Jesus Christ suffered on the cross for my sins. Black folks suffered in this country that I might be a member of the free. Not only free from Africa, but free right in this country of the free. Okay? Then on top of that, you want to complain about the white man creating Christianity, which Christianity wasn't created. Christianity was found. White folks picked it up. What you need to do is you need to find out how white folks got their hands on a religion that was supposed to be black/Jewish. And they had to teach black folks. You know, that blows the lid off everything. That blows the cover. There is no such thing as black folks being Israelites. Because if you were really Israelites, wouldn't nobody need to teach you to pick up a Bible and find yourself in there? You never thought you was in there. And that was before you came to this country. Okay? You didn't know you was in there. You know you're in there because of the white man. White man publishing Bibles in this country. You're going to read it and get racist with it. You're going to read the white man's Bible and then get racist with it. How stupid is that? This is black Bible. Yes, that's true. I mean, it's not a black Bible. It's a Jewish Bible. But going all the way back in time to the first Hebrews, going all the way back in time to before the Jews ever were a name. They had to be pretty brown. If I'm using common sense and applying that to reading the Word of God. The first Jews, the first Hebrews, the first everything was brown. That is the only sense that you can call the Bible a black book, which it's not. It's a Jewish book. Okay? Not an Israelite book. It's a Jewish book. In the first writings, the very writings, the New Testament writings in the Torah that was published into English, the first people to do that were Jews. Before it was done by others, racial, national scholars. The first everything was Jews, except for the Garden of Eden. I believe the first man and the first first woman in the Bible look like Kunta Kinte and Queen Latifah. Okay. But anyway. Oh my God. Oh God, that's funny. You better be laughing. Oh God. Oh Lord. Woo-hoo. Oh man. But anyway, oh, that is funny. But anyway, oh, we need to read our Bibles. Black folks and white folks. We need to read, we need to pay attention to the original thought. Couple Mormons, as I said in the last video that I did on my channel, before this one, I talked about these two Mormons stopping me on the street. And these two Mormons stopped me on the street. They look to me kind of gay, to tell you the truth. They look kind of gay to me. One looked like somebody that I used to hang out with in Job Corps. And the other one looked like his, But they were Mormons, and they tried to explain to me. Well, they wanted to get into a Bible discussion with me, and I told them, I says, I'm already a born-again Christian. I don't know what you... It's very simple to me. I don't understand what you think you and I need to discuss. And if I really wanted to waste your time, I could have said, why are you bothering to preach or even read the Bible to black folks, or your Book of Mormon, rather, to black folks? White and black Mormons don't fellowship together. That's your religion. I bet you What you gonna do? You gonna send me to a black Mormon temple? I pointed to my church up the street. I says, I go to this church right up the street. They know because they circle in our neighborhood and getting to know it like rats. Okay? But they know that church up the street is predominantly white. When I pointed to it. And I could have said, hey, I can go up to this church up the street that's predominantly white and they love me. But what you gonna do? When you send me to a Mormon temple, you gonna send me to a local black Mormon temple. Where's the love in that? But I've been saved twice. I was saved to be among the people that were free of racism and free of slavery. I've not only come in and been free, but I've come in at a time when it's all over. Now all we got to do is get people to have the right attitude. Too many black folks are black conscious. Okay? Too many white people are white conscious. And even if we all did have our own countries and our own prosperity in our own countries, and you could visit, but you couldn't stay, as these white nationalists want to create. We already have this buffoonery going on in Hawaii. The Hawaiians allow you to come and visit their islands, but you can't stay. But just like Africa, the best of the land in Hawaii belongs to the white folks. The white folks have the real estate rights. They own all the homes. They own property. They own, you name it. Whereas the resources that can't be used to build a financial empire off of course, the Hawaiians get to be so-called sovereign over those resources. They have their own islands. They have their own. Free enterprises of fruits and vegetables. But the name of the nation is called Hawaii. But yet, you go to Hawaii and you're still segregated. If I go, and who owns more property and has more money and more power in Hawaii than anybody else? The Japanese. From what I'm hearing. From what I'm collecting from YouTube video after YouTube video, from documents and, so forth. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, but when I go to Hawaii, I got a feeling that I'm going to feel like more a minority in Hawaii than I feel in Northern America. Because Asians don't go near black folks in Hawaii. At least here, they might wave at you. Depending on what neighborhood you're in, they might wave and smile at you. They, they at least respect you enough that you have to do business together or something of that nature. Um, but they don't appreciate you as their brother, their sister, their neighbor. What needs to be torn down is the attitude, or anything that is a monument of that attitude of who is superior, who is inferior. I'm going to say it again. What needs to be torn down is that attitude, or any form of monument or model that presents that attitude, that says some of us are inferior and some of us are superior. That's what we need to go through. Because what you don't want here in America is you don't want a fight here at home. This is what we've had here at the most recent, the most recent election, presidential election, if you remember. We've had people fighting here at home. Wars are meant to be between nations, not between the people in a nation. But we got just as much fighting here at home as we do America against Syria. We got just as much fighting right here on our streets. And a lot of it, whether it be the Arabs against Americans, blacks against whites, Spanish against whites, Indians against whites, whatever it be, it's always racial. And it doesn't begin and stop at black people. You gotta stop making it all about you, black people. All racism and all trouble is not about black people. There's more to it than that. But I will admit, it's about white people. To a certain extent, because you think that this is your country. And nobody needs to be here but you. But the Indians were here first. The blacks were dragged here. Okay? And because of your wars and your takeover in other countries, you felt that you had to accept their immigrants, their refugees into this country. And it all started with us making boo-boos. That's how everybody got here. But in closing, is God diverse or is he segregated? Is God diverse or is he a racist? When the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself, is he just talking about from one black person to another black person like the Israelites say? The Hebrew Israelites, that is. Or from one Jew to another Jew like the Judaic people say? Who's he talking about? Love your neighbor as yourself. I can take you into the Old Testament where he repeats it even deeper. Accept the stranger into your province. Accept him as your own. Accept him as your brother. Accept him as your family. That's all I got to say, people. Even if we were to, let's say, let the white nationalists win, and make this a white nation, what would happen if the white nation started to fail? Because we already have a white nation where we're accepting all these immorality in this nation. This immorality is tearing up this nation. Did black people create this immorality and force you to accept these things? Our top scientists, our top biologists and doctors, those that are willing to cut somebody's whacker off just because they want it done, or put a fake whacker on somebody just because they want it done. These are most of these are white folks. The majority are white, and this attitude is tearing up your country. So let's say that there is no more diversity in America. Okay? We got a small amount of Amish up on the hill. We got a small amount of blacks over there in the valley. They know their place. They're all refugees. They know their place. We got a small amount of Asians, small amount, you know what I'm saying? We are one with Sweden. We are one with Europe and Germany and Russia. We are all one. There's more of us, more white folks than there is everybody else. And everybody understands we rule the world. We are nationally in control. Does that mean you can get rid of police? Does that mean that you don't need any law? What does that mean? Was there any laws? Was there any police here in America? Was there any, you know what I'm saying? You are not in the place of God to say that you can create a utopia. You are not in the place of God to assume that you know what it would be if it was shoulda, woulda, woulda. The only thing you can do is make sure you have the right attitude about everybody. Okay? Not only to save your own hide, okay, but to save your own reputation. And to make sure you respect the God, if you believe one exists. If you respect the God that you serve, if you believe one exists. But when you say you're an atheist, you can be anything you want. You can be racist and it can be righteous. You can be anything you want and it can be righteous, because there is no God. So who's to say what's right and what's wrong? It's all about your opinion instead of the truth. I'm a truth seeker. I'm a truther. I'm into the truth. And the truth doesn't tell me that, oh, I never was a failure. It's just black folks, or just white folks rather, treating me like I'm a failure. No, we blacks, we fail. And we keep failing. We keep lagging, slacking behind. Having the right attitude doesn't tell me to hate white folks. It tells me to appreciate that I was saved twice. I was saved because of the time that I've come in after my ancestors suffered all this. Now I come in here later and I'm enjoying the road that they paved for me after them going through slavery. And then, thank God, the white man supposedly shoved the gospel down the slaves' throats because of that. I am a born-again Christian today, and I see myself in God's Word. I understand it's not a white book. I see myself in there. Thank you for watching. Hope this helps. God bless you. Have a great day. I'm DeRoy Cruz, your Life Applications Officer. Leave a comment. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.